I try and stretch every morning.
One of those massage guns for the muscles. Yeah. After the gym, that's my go-to right there.
Bro, after I put my back in that one time, I was like, yo, this is not fun. Stretch.
Used to be able to shake all that shit off. Not anymore. Not anymore. All right, but welcome to episode 22 of Ring Takes here. Of course, I'm joined by Brian and Lewis. I'm your host, Daniel Daly. Here we're going to be going over our Money in the Bank picks and reaction and Raw reviews. The fallout of that, where I think Lewis is cheating a little bit on his picks, but we'll get
I got that intelligence.
I'm just saying, 7-0 on the last one. I think he's 5-2 on this one. I'm like, that doesn't make it. This doesn't make any sense. And I'm just going to say this: he was the most unsure of it out of both of us last week.
That's the thing. We were pretty steadfast on our picks. Like, we knew exactly what we were going to do. We were convinced certain things were going to happen, and then other things happened.
Me and Brian had in-depth breakdowns.
Yes,
of everything. And Lewis is just like, you want to know what? I'm going to go here.
No, okay. So for these picks, I just went with my gut and more so, not just thinking like storyline. I mean, part of it, yes, it was storyline based, but a lot was just like the LA Knight pick. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to put it out in the universe. I'm like, you know what? He's going to win it. But I also said, I was like, I'm not going to be mad if Damien Priest win. So, and that happened. So, hey, I'm so
I think we were all, we can start there actually.
There we go.
Of course, our first matchup, the Money in the Bank matchup, Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, Damien Priest, and Logan Paul to open up the show. This was a big-time match. I don't think it was one of the best Money in the Bank matches. It's had its moments. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was executed well, but just in type of big-time moments and epic collapses, I didn't feel like it was all that like the ones in the previous ones, especially the earlier ones. I think the earlier ones are the best probably up until WrestleMania 27, somewhere around there. Like the first couple ones that happened with Money in the Bank, those are my favorites, just because of the impact, the varying type of wrestlers in the match and stuff like that. But this one was pretty good. What do you guys think about this one, especially with Damien Priest taking the win, who we all thought would be a good option to win? Mm-hmm. I'm glad they actually went in that direction as well. But what do you guys thought about? What did you guys think about the match?
Okay, you can go ahead, Lewis.
I think you're spot on with the whole, like, it was a good Money in the Bank match. It wasn't a great Money in the Bank match. I think what's sticking out in my mind is that one spot with like Logan Paul and Ricochet, which wasn't really perfectly executed. And I feel like if it was executed, it might have been a bigger highlight.
You're talking about the Spanish fly outside the ring.
Yeah. It almost felt like they almost kind of missed the tables, but they got the tables. It was like, it was a little flip-floppy there. And thinking back now, like, there was the spot with Butch where he does the backflip. But like, I think I was expecting more from like Santos Escobar, something more innovative from Ricochet, maybe some big crashes with Damien Priest and stuff. So thinking back now, I'm like, I think this one was more so like, it was a toss-up. We're like, there's so many different ways it could go. Not so many, but there was like, we discussed the whole Logan Paul thing, like, shit, this could be his win. This could be the direction they're going in. I'm very happy that's not the way it went. Which, like I said last week, as much as I don't want him to win, it makes sense. It will progress what's going on with Seth. But obviously they went a different route with the whole Damien thing, which I thought was great. The man, like I think we've discussed in the past, this man's, clearly a top guy, right? Not top guy, but he's definitely at the top in the group of guys who are like highlighted right now, from the stuff in Backlash to all the stuff in Judgment Day to being in the main events of multiple Monday Night Raws. He's doing great. And it's crazy to think that I think he's 40, which...
Oh, yes. Oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know.
I think he's up there in age. He's close. I think he's either...
But it's crazy to think he's in these spots and having these great matches and all this stuff. But then again, go like with the whole LA Knight thing, they don't want to push him because of his age. And I'm like, but
but at the same time, because of AJ Styles, 40 should be the new prime of professional wrestlers.
It is. It is. And they know how to wrestle smart. You know, they know how to avoid these injuries. All right, we're gonna have a big spot, but let's do it right, and this and this and that. But I'm like, it's crazy that when I heard that he was 40, I was like, wow, I thought he was at, which isn't too off, like 38 maybe, yeah. But he's 40. I'm like, it shows he has the years of doing this, and he's, like I said, multiple main events, Monday Night Raw, the stuff with Bad Bunny, all this other stuff, Judgment Day stuff, and he's doing it. But then to think that, they don't want to push, or people are doubting LA Knight just because of AJ. So I'm like, but he's kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
I saw some stuff discussing him talking about, he's like, he hasn't had a bunch of injuries like other people have. He doesn't have his body isn't worn down, so he might be knock on wood, nothing happens. But I'm like, this also could have been a good night for him to finally get that. But I understand the Judgment Day stuff right now. They are a hot group right now where they have multiple stuff going in. The Finn stuff, now you got Damien doing stuff. You got Rhea as the champ. You got Dom with all the heat. So they're honestly probably the hottest group right now, which this just gives them more in-depth story going in there. So definitely a great match. Like Dan said, it probably could have been a little bit better, but I like the outcome of how it went.
All right. So Daniel, you'll like this one. When I'm watching Money in the Bank now, I almost compare it to the NBA Slam Dunk contest now. From a standpoint of I've seen it, I've seen everything, we've seen everything. Just at least please just be entertaining. Because if it's not entertaining, because we've seen everything that can be done, so please just be entertaining at least.
Yeah.
I think this match definitely was entertaining. There were a lot of good spots. Like I remember Ricochet with some of the things he was doing when he dove through one of the ladders and landed on a couple of people. The Spanish Fly with Logan Paul. I actually listened to Logan Paul's podcast, and he was breaking down what was supposed to happen. So apparently, what was supposed to happen is when the ladder got knocked over, both him and Ricochet were both supposed to use their feet and jump on the rope.
Bounce.
And then they were going to bounce off the rope and then do the Spanish Fly. But then the ladder fell down and messed up both their footing. Mm-hmm. And then Ricochet on the fly pretty much just said, "Fuck it, we're both going." Now Logan Paul didn't have his footing completely, so he went, but then he didn't go all the way, and that's why he landed the way he landed. And we saw on Raw that apparently they had a backstage scuffle, and apparently I'm guessing this is supposed to lead to a match because Ricochet called him out for a face-to-face on Raw next week.
Yeah,
so,
SummerSlam.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a good one, athlete to athlete, with all the things that they've done.
They've had multiple spots too.
Yeah, they've done multiple spots, but as a whole, I agree with both of you. This match was very good. It was entertaining. The LA Knight tease when it looked like he was gonna win.
Yeah.
That was so perfectly done. If you had the crowd going, I'm standing there saying he's gonna do it. Oh, hey, here comes Priest. It was perfect. It was perfectly booked in that instance because they knew LA Knight was the hottest guy all weekend in London, and to have him in the finish and then having Priest be the one to pretty much to kibosh all of that, putting more heat on Priest in the process, who Damien Priest, he's been coming on since Backlash, and when he won it, I was just like, you know what? I'm not mad at this at all because it fits his story right now with Judgment Day. He's definitely a guy that we've had our eyes on since his days in NXT. I mean, from his look to his entrance to his tone and his promos. I mean, Damien Priest is a WWE guy, so
yeah,
definitely. So seeing him win is definitely not disappointing. I know I initially picked Logan Paul, but like Lewis said, thank God that they didn't end up going in that direction. And now to see that they're actually putting him in a match with someone like Ricochet is actually very good in a sense, because with Logan Paul, they're thinking you're thinking because he's the big social media star that essentially we have to match him up with our top guys per se. He's been in there with Roman, he's been in there with Seth. I mean, his first feud was with the Miz, who's an established veteran. Now to see him in the ring with a Ricochet, it's almost like they're distancing him from the big stars. Now we're gonna see like, okay, now let's see him fight some of our mid card guys per se.
You're gonna give him the wins.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
We kind of booked this a little wrong.
Yeah.
Let's rebrand it. Let's
rebrand it.
Let's go overall bottom to the top. Let's not go top down.
Let's start at the middle because we know who he is and work our way back up.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, this match definitely was entertaining. Quality wise, that we can definitely think of some other Money in the Bank matches that have been better. But this was still entertaining. It entertained me. I can definitely go back and watch this one. It was good.
Yeah. This one here I thought was pretty good. Brian and me were chatting a little bit there, was saying like, why don't the ladders break anymore?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that.
Why would you want them to break?
When Logan Paul went through the table, I think I sent a message in the chat. Yo, how is he not dead? Because when it first happened, I literally thought he landed on his neck. When I first saw it in fast motion, you thought he landed on his neck.
He like didn't flip all the way over. You're like,
pretty rough. I remember one of those tables didn't break. So
yeah. So that's me and Brian were saying that, like, why when he did the frog splash to Priest, it was like, yo, why didn't the ladder break? Like, none of these ladders are breaking anymore.
Neither of them.
I understand they got to be sturdy for the spots, but it's like they gotta figure out a way to like incorporate other ladders because it's like some of those need a break.
You know what's funny though? I feel like more so. I feel like these ladders, as more Money in Banks have gone on, I feel like the less stable because I feel like whenever they put them up, they wobble so much, and I'm like, people will be commenting, it's like, do, and I'm like, I feel like somebody's gonna win and try and sit, and they're just gonna tip over, and I'm like, horrible spot.
It's crazy because it's like they don't break during those big moments though, like the splash, like certain things, like people trying to go through the ladder, like it just doesn't break.
Speaking of going back to Logan Paul on the same podcast, he also talked about the frog splash and landing on Priest. Talking about it was pretty much like rib to rib contact that hurt. He actually said that actually hurt more than the Spanish Fly.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not like I think the ladder breaking gives you a little give. Like you're not like I don't know, but it's like I don't know.
I think it's tough because you have to have it sturdy enough to keep people up there.
Yeah.
You can't have it flimsy enough that you're gonna break through it. Unless it's like a heavy dude like fucking Bronson Reed splashing off, and I feel like
I think that's a reason why like the earlier Money in the Banks, like those things look like they hurt more, and that's probably why they reinforced the ladders because a lot of those used to break and like people used to go through them.
Like Jeff Hardy, I think had some spots where they would break in half, or even with Sheamus and stuff. But is it me or I don't know. The more I see tables get brought out, the more they're not breaking like they used to. Like, I'm like, yo, are y'all really using legit tables? Because these tables are not breaking anymore.
I mean, the tables are breaking. It's just that they're going through extreme measures to break them with some of these moves.
There was that match with Bailey and Bianca where I think she like flew over and the table just didn't break. And I'm like, you're enforcing these tables, you're gonna break someone's back.
Nah, it's bad. Like I do know that like we're noticing these things, like the ladder doesn't break, the table doesn't break, like something's gotta give. Be some type of give.
That shit should be like clack, not my back, like
they bulletproof
nerves and shit.
Nah, but I just wanted to touch base on Damien Priest. To me, what Lewis mentioned in his age, he's reminding me of course, there's a couple guys like LA Knight and then AJ Styles when he came in and stuff like that. But there's a couple of guys that are just having these late career resurgences or just surges. And Damien Priest right now potentially could remind me of a guy like DDP, a guy who got into it later and then caught on late. But the difference is he doesn't have as many injuries as DDP has. He doesn't have his back problem. So hopefully, knock on wood, that he continues to keep progressing because he is a talented guy. He has a different moveset. And to see him get this type of chance, It's like that's kind of that. It's dope to see him in that position, and there's so many different ways. As we speak about Raw later, where they can go with this type of storyline, and especially with him as a person who wants to stand on his own. It looks like I definitely like the win there for him. Definitely like the win there for him. Mm-hmm. We all got that one wrong, by the way. We were all wrong.
We were the only one I got wrong.
And this